0 children have been trafficked in the last 12 months because of President Trump's leadership. If you think about last year of the Biden administration, over 125,000 children just in that year were trafficked across the border. And by securing that border this last year, 0 children have been trafficked in the last 12 months because of President Trump's leadership.
0 children have been trafficked in the last 12 months. Help me chew on that sentence. While playing as dumb as I possibly can, I'm going to fact check this with some readily available public information. Here on NCMEC, we see the annual report that says a huge increase in reported child sex trafficking cases. Look at that big whole increase. I just want to zoom it up so we don't miss these facts. We can scroll down and see more information about the alarming increase in reported, tip of the iceberg, reported child sex trafficking cases in 2025 in the first 6 months. 6 months. That's a big increase. That is certainly not 0. I don't even see a 0 in all those digits. That's more than 10 times from the previous year. Let's go to DHS though. Same time frame. So this report was halfway through the year. Look at all these child trafficking victims. Now, whether or not these children were being trafficked in prior years, they were most certainly still being trafficked when they were rescued in 2025. So I have a hard time understanding where we're pulling this information out of, but it's certainly not the truth. A few other relevant facts. Child trafficking is not specific to the border. Familial trafficking is the #1 most reported form of trafficking in America. But our government knows that. NCMEC is given over $1 billion every year to collect all this pretty data, all the charts and numbers that we're doing what with? Look at the amount of investigations on all these reports. That's not the point though. The point is, how are we coming up with 0? Someone help me understand. More importantly though, who's benefiting from saying child trafficking is no longer a crisis in the United States? I'll remind you that I work at a government and law enforcement training facility 1 hour north of the Laredo border. So those of us who live here, those of us who are survivors of 20 years of cult abuse and child trafficking, who now dedicate our lives and volunteer to help combat child trafficking because our government doesn't seem to understand this problem, much less be incentivized to solve this problem, we're looking at this and we can't help but ridicule y'all. We're not going to pretend that this is not an issue, no matter how many talking heads on the screens tell us what to think and what to believe. This problem will not magically disappear. And for the avoidance of doubt, this is not a red versus blue problem. This is not a new problem. This has been around for many decades, and many administrations, all of your favorites, have ignored